Oh boy, call the payroll meeting to order. Curtis? Do the institute.
Rise, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you, Lord, for this day. Be with us, Lord, as we go through our meetings today. We pray for wisdom. We pray for strength. And Lord, just to show us our route we need to travel on, and be with us as we complete this process. Thank you, Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Chuck Hoskins Jr., Bill England,
Here.
Joe Bird, Jody Fishingham, here, Janelle Fulbright, Don Garvin, Frankie Hargis, Tanya Glory Jordan, Lee Keener, Dick Lay,
Here.
Curtis Snell,
Here.
David Thornton, David Wassenstick, Tara Callan Watts. We do have a quorum.
Thank you. We have a discussion on payroll law reform, and I think we'll just start out with John and come forward. And we'll start it.
I've given you several documents today. I want to go over a couple of those when we start. The one of them is the green on it. Do you guys have this? And you pass it around. You emailed this to Shelley, right? The policy. You should. Our fines. Did you guys get our fines emailed to you? The policy for the fines. You actually wanted. I think you guys asked for those. How we were actually going to do our fines and everything, and we will get you guys a copy of that. But it's not for until next month's meeting, correct?
The draft policy department of
You got the debarment.
Okay, it doesn't have green on it. So
Okay.
yes,
Yeah, we need to send you this one. Yeah. Will you pass that out? This is the one that the council asked for this meeting that you will actually look at for next meeting. That's the fines one. I think the debarment's the same way. So there is a couple of typos in here on this is still the draft. So we will actually look at that. And the second one we're giving you, we have the debarment. They have the debarment. It's the fines one we need, Willard. But I thought we emailed that to you guys, but anyway, you'll get it in an email.
Yep, this is the fines.
Okay, you got the fines?
Yeah, I'm getting out the fines now.
That's that one for next month, I'm sorry.
I need more.
It's just not green. So. And that actually gives an example. We work with the Attorney General's office of how to attach this to the law. The only changes we're going to look at is under procedure number 3. The first violation shall incur a fine of $200. We were going to look at some leeway with that, but the law does not allow us leeway, so we're going to change this, and it shall be a $200 fine for their first violation. So that part will have change. We'll get that cleared up and send you the new one as well, just to make sure for next month's meeting. The Department of Vendors. This is where we talked about where we had met with the purchasing group, the Taro, had formed a committee with Cherokee Nation Acquisition Management and CNE's procurement officers to look at how we were actually going to do the debarment process. This is for you guys to look at for next month's meeting as well. This was a process that we were going to start, but with the new law, it might have changed. But you guys may want us to keep this in this part. And the other one you have is the complaint form. That's how we're actually going to take the complaints under our debarment policy with the committee. Any department or any individual can make a debarment complaint to the Terrell office to me, and we would actually investigate. The Terrell office would investigate everything and make a recommendation to the committee, and the committee would vote on what process it was. If it was a Terrell vendor, the Terrell vendor would not be directly debarred. They would actually have the opportunity to work with the One Stop Business Center to fix their business's problems so we can make them a better qualified vendor for us. A non-Terrell vendor would not have that opportunity. If they met the department requirements and the committee voted to debar the non-Terrell vendors, they would automatically be debarred. And the minimum is 2 years under the new law that you guys actually came out of subcommittee that we're actually proposing. So that's that part. You guys have any questions for me on that? They give you guys a month to look at. If you guys have any questions, please email me, and I will respond back to any questions you have. And I'll respond back to Shelley so she can send that out to the whole council as we go along.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Are we just considering this a draft then?
Yes, these are all drafts.
Okay.
The policy has to be a draft because it ties it to the new Terrell law. Until the new Terrell law is in place, we cannot actually place it in policy. So. You guys may move on.
Any further questions on that area?
So just within 30 days, we have any recommendations? Is that, okay.
Thank you. The next thing we were looking at for this meeting was the employment law. After looking at everything that we have in the contract law, the way it pertains to, I don't know what the benefit of an employment law would actually be. Because we act, and under the contract law, as it states, we actually, I'm sorry, in section, on page 8 of the contract law that you have, you guys have the contract law?
There's executive finance, tax, fit, new business act one.
That's the labor law. That's the labor law. We'll come to that here in a minute. Okay, I'm sorry.
Get this stuff like yesterday, right?
Yeah, because we've been working on it because it's not an easy process to define the two from employment to contract law. But the reason the employment law,
Contract law,
it's the one you guys already voted on. We're just going to make one remark out of it. That's all I'm going to make.
And it's
It really doesn't matter, sir, if you have it. We're just going to make one. That's the labor. That's the. We have two laws now. Remember, you guys were looking at making us have a contract law for the business side and then an employment law. Under the contract law, it says that the Cherokee Nation and its entities are under the jurisdiction of Terrell. Once they come under our jurisdiction, the hiring preference, promotion preference, that all falls under Terrell anyway. Any discrimination falls under Terrell. Any employee complaints actually fall under Terrell. So we're trying to figure out how the employment law, how you guys are trying to tie that in because we don't quite understand it, I don't believe.
okay, and then Shelley had just told me that that's under ENF number 1.
Yeah, it's under the ENF.
contract law.
For those of us who can find it. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're asking for some guidance of what more you want the employment law to be. We actually found one that another tribe has, and the whole law does not pertain to us because they're on a reservation. But with that part of it will pertain to us. Under the example the example law that we've given you on page 15 is where their fair employment part starts for the employment side.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
so this is the Porch Creek law that's in front of us, and you want us to turn to page 15.
Correct. The
Chapter
Porch
4,
Creek law.
fair employment.
Correct. Sorry. There's a lot of stuff
Have you emailed this to us?
Did we email
Is
this?
this the first, because this is the first time I'm reading it.
We just got it. We just received this information. We actually been trying to contact I've been trying to contact other TAROs and the actual CTR board, the Council for Tribal Employment Rights, the national office, and we didn't actually get that from them. We had to actually go find it from the Porch Creeks, and we just got this probably late last week.
So you want us to consider this chapter 4 in entirety to adopt?
I don't know. We do not want to. Well, I'm going to go over some highlights of this chapter 4 that we could add to the contract law. The contract law basically covers all the employment. Once we set aside the Cherokee Nation as entities as an employer, they all fall under Terrell. There's no under that Terrell law. They have to apply everything that's in that Terrell law.
You have a follow-up?
Mr. Chairman, I think we absolutely have to have this discussion and come to a conclusion, but I'm concerned because we haven't seen it, and then he hasn't taken the portions of this act that are right in front of us just today and applied it to what's going to be at a later meeting on an agenda. So maybe that discussion needs to be at ENF under item 1, but it needs to have like the actual edits on what they're suggesting has to be the amendments under that contract law.
There are no amendments to the contract law. What we're doing here is showing you the chapter 4 that they have for their employment side, And if there's bits and pieces that we don't need, we're wanting the council's direction to what we need to add into it so we can write the policies or amendments to the contract law to tie this in, because it may not be anything that we need, because we don't know. Under the Taro side, we believe that the contract law
Could you be specific?
covers everything. As
John,
far as,
I want to help. I want to be part of this discussion, but right now it's very philosophical and you haven't offered anything specific.
under the new side, as far as the contract law or the employment side, employment law that you guys are working with.
I don't
That's
know,
what
but
we're
I would like
confused
to
about.
take one issue at a time, maybe.
Okay.
And I'm hearing like the whole thing and
Okay.
some item one from executive finance later. and-
Okay, let's start with the contract law. Let's start there. The law that this
John?
committee's already passed.
If I could, I'll let the NF chairman, I think she has something to add to this discussion.
Never was it said that we was going to pass all this today. And I know you're making assumptions. What this is he wanted it passed out just now. He wants to walk through it. There's several highlights in it, is how I'm understanding it, that you want to look at.
Yes, to
today.
see if you guys want to add those
You want
in.
us to take it home this month, go over it some more, and bring it back to look at. There ain't nothing going to ENF today, number one.
May I, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Councilwoman, so I think that it sounds like he has valid points, and it is on the agenda for executive finance later. I thought we were talking about something else today at this meeting and not what's on the agenda for later. And now he's bringing up what's on the agenda for later. So, and because I got it when everybody else did yesterday, I guess, I haven't even had an opportunity to read the legislation we're supposed to review today in meetings. So are we talking about ENF at 3 o'clock? And agenda item 1 right now?
It's on.
Or
on
are
his
we
item
talking,
one.
are we supposed to be talking about another piece of legislation that got emailed out to us? And how,
What we're talking about
This
is
is contract law.
the employment law.
Yeah.
The contract is on the
Yeah.
contract side, this committee's already voted on to go to ENF, correct?
Yes.
We're talking about the employment side. On our side, the Taro believes that the employment law is not needed. That's the way we feel. Because under the contract law that this committee passed, once you put the Cherokee Nation government and its entities in that, we're over going to see primary preference to Cherokee citizens. We are going to see second preference to other Indians. We are seeing the hiring and promotion of our Cherokee citizens. That falls under the contract law once you include them.
I would differ on that, and I would say that we need to be compliant with that. I mean, if that's just the question, are we going to make ourselves compliant with our own laws, then I'm going to stick with what we've got. Is that the question on the end?
I think it is, because we're looking for guidance on the employment side, because we don't see a difference. I can't see a difference because since you've added those in the contract side. So the employment law is in the contract law.
So is that what we're asking about, or are we asking about certain sections of the Porch Creek to be
And
added?
I am going to discuss certain sections of the Porch Creek that we may need to add to the contract law to cover the different things that we possibly need. Now, the committee, the
That's
council may not
at
want
3
that.
o'clock though, right?
No, it'll be, but it is, but it's the employment side. I don't know how, I guess maybe I'm not explaining that correctly. Because we're discussing the employment side.
Because I assume this handed out was what we were discussing today at this committee meeting.
Yes, we're discussing employment. I'm just saying the Taro feels that the contract law takes it.
So should
So
that
we
discussion
should-
be at 3 o'clock at executive finance under agenda item 1?
I don't think so because we're trying to, this council wanted two different laws, correct? A contract law and employment law.
So do we need to amend the agenda to consider something new today?
I have no idea how you guys
Because
do
it was
that.
an agenda item that was specific, and then there was no attachments, so if the public was given notice, there was nothing until yesterday that was behind the agenda.
I think the easiest thing to do is discuss whether today we need an employment law or not. So let's just stay on the employment side.
That's the question.
And we'll, at the end of the discussion, this council can decide, okay, do we need an employment law or do we not? So we'll just leave the contract law completely out of it. Will that be?
That'll work.
Will that work?
That'll work for me. That'll work for the chair.
So we're on this?
Yes. There are some few things under the employment law that we actually did not take, so that's why we actually did the Porch Creek. They talk about prohibited basis of discrimination on page 15 of the Porch Creek law, that we would like to, again, we're looking for guidance on this. Some of the stuff we don't believe that the council may or may not want to put into the law, so under the employment law. So we need to make sure that we're on the same page as we're going through this, because this is new to us as well, coming through the employment side. This is something in the past that we have not been able to actually cross over and actually do the employment side, so we're walking into a new territory. And that's why we actually passed this out for the council to look at. We can discuss it today, but I don't think you guys are going to want to read it too as well. It's because you're going to have a lot more questions. Some of the stuff we may not even want to put in here, because actually the Porch Creek even talks about we have rights for felons. You cannot discriminate against a felon. So on certain jobs and everything else, and they do specify age discrimination, and they actually have places where you can actually not use age discrimination, but age will play a role in certain jobs that they can or cannot take for our tribe. So that's why we're giving this out. And some of the like the retaliatory actions, we need to look and see how we're actually going to handle that, how the council wants to, for us, give us a little guidance to see how we want to do that.
Mr. King?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. John, so we're looking at section 33-4-1 and 33-4-4, retaliatory?
Correct.
Okay.
We're going all the way through, chapter 4. Chapter 4 is their employment side, and that's the part that we think that we really pertains to what we could possibly need. But we, again, we're just kind of.
So you would like for us to go through and pick out what we would like to see in there? Is that what you're asking? Or?
Yes, and I don't know where you guys are taking this on the employment side. Again, because we feel that we're going to be good with the new law. If it's passed.
As is.
As is.
Okay.
But you guys actually get to guide us on how to do this.
And then this chapter 4, is that for the policy and procedures?
That will be a law. This will be the parts of the law, and then we'll actually write the employment law from this.
Okay.
That matches. Because the Porch Creek is on a reservation, which kind of changes a little bit of the things that we do, so we're going to have to tweak it just a tad to match the Cherokee Nation.
Okay.
So we're just asking for some guidance of what you guys are wanting to see on the employment side.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I think we do need to go through this, as John says, to get to maybe adopt certain things if that's the direction we want to go, or strike certain things. Need to do that together, I believe. So I don't know how we do that, achieve that. But
That's what I don't know either. So that's what we're trying to. We've been working on this since the last meeting to try to figure out how we were going to implement the employment law. Willard and Tammy and I have.
make recommendations.
Yes, we'll make recommendations. We actually have the recommendations here that we'd like to keep for the council, but beginning it is your choice to.
Councilman Keener, let me go through a couple of questions first, and then I'll come back.
Oh, I'm okay.
Okay, John, correct me if I'm wrong. It was my understanding during the first Carol mess with the contract law, we were separating two laws, making a contract law, making an employment law.
Correct.
But during our little subcommittee hearings, some of the council, I don't think was totally clear on that, and they kept substituting employer, the language that we was going to use for the other act, into the contract law.
Correct.
And that's why you're saying now we don't really need two laws. You're not saying, okay, he's nodding, you're not saying that we don't need employment law. What you're saying is some of us have changed direction.
We already have it.
Yes, because we kept substitute language in. We was going to keep them totally separate because some of the contracting don't apply to the employment, some employment don't apply to contracting. So we was going to just keep them separate.
Correct.
But during hearings, after they marked them all out, some of us went to putting them back in.
Correct.
That's what it meant. Does that clear some of this up?
It's becoming clearer.
Yeah, and that's why he's saying. It sounds bad to say we don't need employment law, but that's not what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It's just already included.
Yeah. our intent was to strengthen both of them individually.
Correct.
John, we're the ones that initiated this, the council, so what you're saying is, the employment law is in the contract law.
Yes, it is.
It's already there. So then we talked about the discussion about, do we need employment law? Well, I think we've already kind of decided that. Now, on this 33-4-1, the Quartz Creek model that we're looking at, why not you look at this, and I'll give us a chance to review it, as Councilman Watt said, and give us time to review this. Because you're not trying to insert this for the executive finance meeting.
No, the only thing we could do, sir, is actually, is if the contract law is missing anything on the law you've already passed,
Yes.
we would just look at be adding some amendments
Okay?
to the law if it does pass and everything. So we're still, it's going to be a process. Again, I actually made the comment this morning, the Quartz Creek has a very good tarot law. Actually, we enforce probably more than any other tarot
Sure.
in the country. So ours, we can't just take somebody's law. We have to actually make it stronger, since we're not on a reservation, to make sure that we actually can control the things that we're wanting to control and what this body is wanting us to control. Because from my understanding, the employment law was basically to take care of our citizens that are working at the government side and at the entity side, so they would have someone to come to, someone that would be able to fight their fight with them.
Yes. Would that be ample time, though, for you to make recommendations to us? Because neither group, you or us, has had an opportunity to review this in length yet.
Yes, that would be great for us.
Is that, Mr. Chairman, does that
That'd
make
be okay
sense?
with you guys.
Okay, thank you.
Councilor Watt?
But what I'm hearing is that we need to possibly amend then the law that's on executive and finance agenda. If it's all the same, both employment and contracting, he's asking that we add potentially some of this language from the Porch Creek. So are you recommending that we table to add?
No, I'm not recommending that. I mean, the law itself, the current law that this committee passed, I think will be suffice. I honestly do. I think, we'll have to write, the Terrell will have to come in and write a few policies of how we're going to enforce it. But I think it covers everything that this council wanted. It covers that if someone gets not hired or not promoted at the casino. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't think so. I think we're good, to be honest with you. I don't know if they heard you, but her question was, do we need to meet again as a subcommittee? My opinion is no, and I think of the Tarot staff, we think no. We think we have everything that we need right now. I know there may be some issues that we're not seeing, that something new always happens down the road that we may have to look at. But as far as, I think we're ready. I think we're ready to take care of everything, that from hiring of our citizens to taking care of our citizens, not only with our businesses and entities, but with outside businesses and entities. We already actually are the EEOC. We work for the EEOC in the 14 counties. So if any Native American is discriminated against in a private company, the EEOC bumps that back to us anyway. The only difference was, in the past, we weren't allowed to cross over to the Cherokee Nation side. But now with this, we are able to cross over to the Cherokee Nation as business side, and I think we'll be able to cover everything in our jurisdiction under the current law that you guys passed out of this committee.
Move to adjourn?
I'd like to wait and see if we have some more discussion first. Councilman Keener, did you have something you wanted to follow up on?
Well, yes, I guess in light of the latest comments, if we do not have any subcommittee meetings anymore, and John and his staff think that we're good, that'd be okay. But if there's any unintended consequences, I guess we'll have to address that in committee in the future.
But the NF committee would actually.
Right. So, and with the new information in front of me, I'm hesitant to recommend that, but whatever the will of the body is, if we want to continue the subcommittee, that's fine. Or no, stop it and cease, we can do that as well. Thank you.
Could he address what he wanted to change in it? Was there something you wanted to change in that law?
No, actually,
Okay,
there was
okay, never
nothing.
mind.
It covers us, I believe, Katina, it covers us everything for, the law that was passed out of this committee gives the Terrell the right to make policies and procedures, to adapt policies and procedures at any time that they feel necessary to actually cover the whole law. So if it will be more of our policies that we may have to tweak in the law itself of how we actually used to do business for the past 5 years that I've been here. It's going to change how we actually do it in different ways. Again, like I said, we couldn't cross over into the C&Es and the C&Is or the government side of looking at someone who wasn't promoted. They couldn't. If someone, for instance, at the casinos was not promoted and they were qualified and they were a Cherokee citizen, they were bypassed over by a non-Indian, they had no one to turn to. Well, now, under this current law that was passed on this committee, now they're just an email or a complaint away to say, Dear Taro, I am qualified to do this, and I was bypassed by a non-Indian, or even an Indian from a different tribe, because it's Cherokee preference first. Would you please follow up? We can follow up with that. And I think I've had more phone calls from this council on those types of issues than probably any complaints that I've actually had from vendors or anywhere else. It's dealing with our people and actually working in our government and our business side. So, but do I think we're ready? Yes, I think we're ready.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You bet. And as a temporary chair here, I'm very hesitant to close this subcommittee down. That's not what the body's asking me to do, is it? No.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I'm open to suggestions to adjourn.
I see motion been already been made.
Got one more.
Can I ask one more question before we go? So, I no longer need to look at the Porch Creek unless we're going to make recommendations down in the future, correct? If something isn't working out, correct?
I think that's the consensus of the folks.
Okay. Thank you.
And I have a motion and seconded, and all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We have adjourned.